Hey Tube, it's Mark here. Just going to record a short ministry update video tonight. It's a video I think I probably should have done a little while ago, and it's really just to give you a sense of kind of where the ministry is, but also some future plans and really to kind of gauge what you think about it, and also to request some help basically. That should all be kind of in the title and part of the description box as well. But I wanted to read a verse as well to encapsulate what I'm sort of trying to do with this video. It's from Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed, but in the multitude of counselors, they are established. Amen. Really, really good verse, and it's one that I try to live as much as I can, because there's always a danger, brethren, isn't there, that you're acting according to your will, and you're kind of just ploughing on ahead, and you don't actually realise that it's not something that's been established with conversation with many Christians and correspondence or whatever it is. So I've spoken to a handful of Christians about what I'm going to talk about in this video. All of them so far have been in agreement, so it certainly seems like it's the right thing. But I don't talk to everybody that watches my videos. I don't correspond with everybody that watches my videos. And I wanted to kind of put something on record, I suppose, something that's out there, talking about the current situation that I'm in, that my wife is in, our plans, and like I said, what we're trying to achieve and what we're looking for. So just to give you an idea, we currently rent a sort of modest property on the island of Cebu. So if you have a map application, or Google Maps, Bing Maps, whatever it is, just take a look at the Philippines. You'll see Cebu is this long, sort of thin island, pretty much in the centre of the Philippines. You may have heard it on the news even recently. So we have a property there. It's in a place called BibleBelieverUK. I think I've mentioned it in a couple of videos previously. BibleBelieverUK, which is about an hour's drive from the airport, and it's a great place. It's a nice area. It's safe. It's very quiet. It's a good place to go. But one of the problems that we have with that location, well, we didn't sort of strictly choose it. It was because my wife's two daughters, my stepdaughters, were there for their education. So that's kind of, how she ended up there in particular. And obviously she has to be there for her daughters. Originally they were on the island of Bohol, which is just to the south. So again, you'll see Cebu, then you'll see Bohol to the south. That's where they were at the very beginning. They moved there when it came to, I think, universities. And now that's all kind of coming to it's come to a conclusion for my two stepdaughters, of course. And that's where the property currently is. I live and work here in the UK. That's where my work is. That's also where my three sons are. So my eldest son is in the British Army, for those of you who don't know. He's not saved, but that's something that I'm praying and hoping will change, and I take advantage of opportunities to witness to him. My two younger sons are both still in education. My middle son currently finishing college, should be finished within the sort of month or two. My youngest son is still in school, but he should be finished next year. So, we are where we are because we kind of have to be. And it wasn't something that was kind of a surprise, and something we weren't expecting to happen. I mean, that was evident from the very beginning, that it would be some time before we could actually get everything in place. But we are now reaching that point. I'd say within a year or so, probably a year would be a reasonable time frame for things to seriously change. And that's part of the reason I want to record this video, because when I came back from the Philippines recently, I realised something, because initially our plan was to save for a deposit for a home, and that's quite a sensible plan. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem was the reality of actually putting that money aside, and I say that money like it's there, but the reality of doing that is far, far tougher than it sounds, and progress has been really, really slow. And when I came back from the Philippines just a few weeks ago, it dawned on me actually that there was a better way of doing this, rather than just occasionally put something away and kind of hope that that will change and we can secure this deposit for a home, a down payment, and it's sizable, brethren. It's not just something sort of nominal. It's a sizable figure that it has to be, and that's It's quite a high aim. It dawned on me just a few weeks back. I was thinking about it. I thought we should actually just simply rent in Manila. That's where we need to be, brethren, by the way, Manila. So if you've ever seen the videos that I've uploaded from the Philippines, they are typically in Manila. That is where the ministry work is, whether it's in Quezon City, Las Piñas, wherever it is. It's always in the Metro Manila area. It's not in Cebu, which is part of the problem. So Cebu for us was kind of like a base, base of operations. That's where our home is. That's where we, eat, sleep. That's the home. And we would just go from there. So for example, in the last trip that I went out, we had to get some internal flights from Cebu to Manila. And then we had to pay for hotels and so on and so forth. And it gets very, very expensive very quickly. And it really isn't a good use of money. So, our future plan, like I said, was to have a home in Manila, but it's just taking too long, quite frankly. It's too much of a lofty goal to achieve in the timeframes that are now coming into play. And it's not a question of not being patient. It's a question of it's just going to take a real long time. And there is a quicker way to get to where we need to be, and that is by renting in Manila. So that's what we're currently looking at doing. So I wanted to talk about the pros and cons of that as well, kind of the pros more than anything. So instead of securing a really large down payment for our own property, all we have to do is essentially pay for our various expenses to actually check out this place. And I don't need to be the one that does that. My wife can do that, and in fact she is going to be doing that next month, something I'll touch on at the end of this video. If we find a suitable rental property, I think it requires 2 months initial deposit, and then once we've done that, we would then secure a container which would take all of our belongings from Cebu by boat, as I understand, to Manila. Then you rent a truck and it will take it to the place where you're at, and then obviously you have to move everything in. So it's still quite expensive, but it's far more achievable, brethren, than saving for a home. It may not seem as prudent in some respects, but it's far more achievable. So much so that I believe that we can do this fairly quickly. And there are some serious pros for this as well. So like I said, the ministry is there. So if we're able to move to Manila, however we do it, we are no longer going to have to be paying for internal flights, no longer paying for accommodation. That's basically where our home is. We're not wasting time as well in travel, in changing hotels and so on and so forth. Why? Because that's where our home now is. All it is a question of doing is getting into a car and going to wherever we're supposed to go at that time. And also it has the added advantage of making every single trip a ministry trip, because at the moment, brethren, unfortunately, not every trip is a ministry trip. I want it to be, but the simple mathematics, the simple economies of scale mean sometimes it's not. I've flown out to the Philippines, and again, there's nothing wrong with doing that. It's just like visiting family, so to speak. But I've wanted to do ministry, and I've wanted to, go to this place and preach and teach and help and support and so on and so forth, but I've not been able to. So it's been very frustrating to just have that hindrance in place, which is why moving to Manila, I think, is a very wise move. However, again, do we wait to secure a down payment for a home? And that requires a lot of money, believe me. Or do we, take the plunge and rent initially? And the thing is, we're renting at the moment. To me, it seems like a very smart move, that we can actually achieve this pretty quickly in some respects, depending on a few factors. But it's achievable, at least, in the short term. And then obviously once we're based out there, then, in the future, being able to save for a property, it's fine. Even if that takes 2-3 years or whatever it is, so again, assuming the Lord doesn't call us away, that's fine, but we'll still be in Manila. So to me, it seems like quite a sensible move to make. And whether it's a hired house or an owned property, it's still going to be used in the same way. So for example, there'll be a house church there. hosted in the home there. I will be teaching and preaching, where I'm invited to, guest preacher, as some people call it. That will still be happening. The YouTube channel will still be happening, and Lord willing, in the future, part of the future plans for this ministry is to be part-time. So, ministry, you have to be careful with this, by the way, as well. There's no such thing as salaried ministry, but there is supported ministry. And a preacher of the Word of God should be working. The Apostle Paul worked. He was a maker of tents, and he laboured, sometimes night and day, but he lived off the gospel. So there's a precedent for that, but you have to be careful at the same time. So my intention, Lord willing, in the future is to engage in part-time work, because I really want to do more ministry. There is so much work to do, and the work that I currently do, brethren, here in the UK is a full-time job, and I get to work often at 7 in the morning, leave at 5:30, 6 or whatever it is, or 7 sometimes, get back, and there's really not much time left in the day for anything. And in the weekends I'm very occupied, so it's very difficult, and it's not kind of a preference to have things like that. So it's either, we make some moves now, and we make some changes now, and we do some things now, or again, we just wait. And like I said, brethren, it's honestly not a question of not being patient. Believe me, my wife and I have been very, very patient the last 4 or 5 years, trying to figure out how we're going to do things, and obviously at the same time taking care of the needs of our children. So, but as I said, that time's coming to a close. So again, do we take advantage of this situation within a year or so and actually, really try and make it happen? Or do we just wait and wait and wait? And I think the latter is going to be problematic in the end. And again, when you look at the way that, money is used, for example, I have a very finite amount of money. I get help from the brethren as well, and I'm extremely grateful for that. But I want to use it wiser and better, as opposed to using it on internal flights or accommodation costs or anything, hotel fees and so on and so forth. I don't want to be using it for that. I want to be using it for help and support, for Bibles and tracts. So you know what I mean? It's better to use it that way. So again, making that move is the right thing to do, I think. And it's another reason, that I've, put this video together, because I'm seeking to find out what you guys think about it. And, this is kind of where I come in with my request, I suppose, because I have some savings, okay? So it's something that I've been sort of trying to harvest away and keep for exactly the purpose that I mentioned at the beginning, which is to secure a down payment for a home. But it's just simply not enough for that. It's nowhere near enough. However, it is a reasonable starting point for this part of the process, to rent in Manila. So whilst we don't have everything that we need to do, we can at least make a start. And what I'm hoping is that those of you that are watching this will be thinking about whether you want to help, whether you can help, whether you're led to help. As I've said often, and again, especially in correspondence, I've only sought the help of saints that are specifically led to help, and they're convicted 100% to do so. It's cheerfully given, and they want to help. So part of my request in this video is to get some help to do this, because it's furthering the goal of the ministry. It's not furthering the goal of, I get to have an easy life out in the Philippines. It's not easy out there. It really isn't. And I mean, if you've seen the news reports, it's not particularly safe in some areas. It's purely to forward the ministry. It's not a shortcut to an easy life in the Philippines. I'm committed to serving in the Philippines. I'm committed to ministering to the saints, whether online as well or locally there in the Philippines. It's not going to be a kind of closed book, see you later. Everything will continue as it is. The videos will continue as they are. The ministry carries on. The emails, so to speak, and the direct correspondence, the Skyping or whatever, all of that will carry on. But it will, if anything, it will get bigger. So, like I said, I think a bit earlier, I said local house church. That's something that will become a regular thing, and it will become an open thing, as opposed to what it is at the moment, which is a kind of closed family thing. But I'll make that a much more open thing, and it'd be nice to record some of that as well, just to show you it in action, brethren. and also, of course, the guest preaching, and it'll be a far more obvious ministry. It's where I want to be. It's where I've been called to be from the very beginning. And as I said, it's so frustrating to not be out there and not be doing what the Lord has called me to do. It's really frustrating. But the time is now getting to that point where I can be doing that. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm seeking your counsel on this. I think it's the right thing to do. I think it's achievable. I think with a little help, it's certainly doable. I think that's quite possible. But again, there's no compulsion on anybody watching this. I've prayed about this quite extensively. I've been praying about it for a very long time, in fact. But I've prayed about this particular thing, about renting in Manila, and I'm convinced that it's the right thing to do. I'm seeking counsel, of course, but I believe firmly that it's the right thing to do, and I know that the Lord will provide for that, and I fully trust Him on that. And we are stepping out in faith for this to happen, and I believe it will happen. I don't have a doubt about it, but it would be remiss of me not to talk about the ministry, not to talk about its future plans, and not to ask whether anybody wants to help or assist. So I'm hoping that this video perhaps has painted a slightly clearer picture, but also just about the ministry itself. I feel that there's something that also needs to be said as well. Proverbs 14:25. A true witness delivereth souls, but a deceitful witness speaketh lies. What I'm praying and hoping, brethren, is that you view this small ministry that I have here. I'm hoping you view it as a credible and a true one with a proper purpose that's clearly ordained of the Lord, okay, with the right scriptural attitude, okay, teaching sound doctrine in love, and it's a ministry that does indeed bear fruit. It's a ministry that does things, and that provokes others unto good works and unto love. I drive around here in the UK. I'm happy to meet Christians. I will give them Bibles, tracts, money, whatever it is that I can do to help, I do it. And that's in the UK and that's in the Philippines. And if I was somewhere else, I'd be doing it there as well. So I'm praying that you sort of see that. Souls get delivered, as we just read here. True witness delivereth souls. Souls get saved. This ministry, it's not something that I glory about. It's all glory to the Lord Jesus Christ. But 2 people, and it's just 2. It's not, 3,000 or whatever. 2 people got saved when I was out in the Philippines last time. And you can imagine my eagerness to get back out there. Imagine just even 1 or 2, every now and again. Incredible, absolutely incredible. Souls get saved with this ministry. This is a soul-winning ministry, right? And you see that. You get to see the results of that. It's an accountable ministry. You get to see it. You even saw in the second video in the Philippines, the guy sitting at the front. He was the one that got saved. And in the second video, he's being shown where to kind of go in the Bible. And he's loving it, brethren. He just absorbs it. He's reading it aloud. He's eager. It's fantastic, brethren. So, you visibly see this happening. So, I'm praying again that you view this ministry as a credible one, worthy of your support, of your prayers, of your help. Because, it's ordained of the Lord. It cannot, not be. And I'm so careful and so cautious about this kind of thing. I really fear the Lord, and in a good, appropriate way, as a son fears his father, right? I really do fear the Lord, and I really do try and exercise great caution with this ministry. And I'm fully aware of the way that I talk, the way that I conduct myself, and I know that people are watching me, whether, lost or saved. And I'm very, very keen to show a real Christianity, not this kind of fake plastic thing, but a real Christianity, that I pray and hope attracts people to asking questions. Why? Because that's what happened with me, brethren, when I got saved. When I met my wife, there was something different about her, brethren. And I wanted to know what that secret was. And I started asking questions. And it was all about the way that she was, the way that she talked. Her attitude. I've never seen anything like it before, you know. And you know what it was? It was because she was a Christian. See? So this is something that I try and portray. It's something I try and emulate. Why? Because it's natural to do so. 2 Timothy 2:24-26. Great verses. I read them out in my testimony video because they made such a massive impact on me, and that's how I try to live my life as a Christian. So, I hope that you see that, when you watch the videos. I'm outside or I'm in the Philippines or whatever. I'm hoping you see that. It's just this consistency from start to finish. There's no charismatic voice in these assemblies, anything like that. Same guy, whether I'm here, whether I'm outside in a forest somewhere, or in the Philippines, just same guy, across the board. And it's an accountable ministry. You'll get to see it. And if you've helped me before in the past, I try my best to let you know how it's been used. If you've ever sent me help, I try to let you know how I've used it. And often, brethren, I give it away. I receive some giving, and I'll say to somebody, it's like, I sent this to a brother or sister who had need. It's not, I don't just go, oh, hey, I've got all this money and I can do great, things with it for myself. No. Most of the time I give it away. The other times I don't, I've used it for expenses, So the internal flights, for example, in the Philippines, that's how I had to use it. And another reason why I don't want to use it like that, you see what I mean? See how wasteful it is, brethren? I don't want to use it like that. So it's better to be in Manila and to have the funds that I need to do what I need to do as a preacher, not as a traveller, right? So my request to you guys is, please consider supporting this ministry irregularly or regularly, whatever whatever you want to do, and to whatever you want to do. There's no. This is the other thing as well. I've been talking to people about this, about tithing and all this kind of thing, and it's amazing how that gets abused by people. I've recorded a long study on that, and it's just incredible how that's abused. It's just awful, to be honest with you. But please do consider supporting this ministry as you see fit, as you're led to do so, cheerfully so, and no other way. Not in any other way. You can do so by PayPal. What I've started to do, a brother in the Lord kind of pointed this out to me, and he was right. And I've resisted it for a long time, actually. But he said, look, put a PayPal link in your video description. So there's one that should be in the bottom of this box. It has been for a little while now, a few months. I've started doing that. You can do that directly there if you like. Or you can just email me, BibleBelieverUK@gmail.com. You can email me directly, and you can just ask me whatever you like. Like, what do you need for, this thing? And you see what I mean? I try and be as accountable as I can, brethren. So I probably, there's probably a better way to do it. I don't know really, but I always feel obliged to tell people what I've done with it. So, if you have supported me and helped me before, you probably know how that's been used. I'll report something back to you where possible. But probably about 90% of the time it goes to helping other Christians anyway. So, in this particular case, I'm actually asking for help for myself in order to be able to do this, to get this thing done. I don't know what the full costs are at the moment. It's just something that we're now going to start to do. My wife, the first phase of what we're doing, in fact, is my wife is flying to Manila, I think at the beginning of next month or the beginning of the month after. So, July or August, I think it is, with a view really to finding something. So there are some nominal expenses there, but the major expenses probably be the first couple of months deposit plus the cost of moving, which I think will be probably fairly high. From what I could tell, a shipping container and everything associated with that will be probably quite expensive. And as I said, we're hoping to meet the majority of this cost, but we are stepping out in faith. We do believe that the Lord will provide, and we'll see what happens. If it's not going to be, if it's not to be, if it's not meant to happen, brethren, then it won't happen, and that's okay also. But I've been praying about this for a while, and I truly believe that this is the way that it is meant to go. It's the most achievable, sensible, right way for it to happen, and it was just laid upon me. not in any kind of sort of extravagant, explosive way. It was just like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You know, this is the right time. It's the perfect time for this, brethren. So, you know, kind of pretty open, frank video. Please do let me know your thoughts on this. Drop me an email. Ask me whatever questions you like about it. We're hoping to do this in the coming few months. I'm hoping to get back out to the Philippines, preferably as soon as possible, to be honest with you. You know, that's not really my decision. I would go tonight. If I could, I would go tonight. But I think maybe 2 to 3 months, something like that. And it would be great if I could get out there and we have a property, you know, a rented place, simple, modest, you know, rented place. Again, we don't live extravagantly. Believe me, we don't live extravagantly. So it'd be nice to have a simple, sort of modest place. And then, as I said, brethren, every trip could be a ministry trip, and that would be such a great thing. Such a great thing. So I hope that, you know, you really do, you know, view this ministry credibly so, that you can just see day in, day out how it's been. You've seen the evolution of this ministry, the way that it's changed, and it's a doer. You know, it delivers souls and it helps Christians. It's doing what it should be doing. You know, not being drawn into all this ridiculous YouTube dramas and all this other fighting for preeminence that goes on here. Too busy. Got too much to do, brethren. Got people to save. Got Christians to help. Too busy to be involved in all of this silliness that's going on online. So, you know, I pray that this video meets with your approval. I'm seeking your counsel on this. If you're watching this, I'm seeking your counsel. Write to me. Say to me, you know, Brother Mark, I was praying about this. This doesn't sound like the right thing. I don't agree. I don't think you should do it. You see what I mean? Well, Brother Mark, nope, sounds like a good idea. When I heard you talking, it sounds sensible. Amen. Go ahead. Press ahead. I agree. You see what I mean? That's what I'm looking for, brethren, from this video. So, you know, it's not a video to get you to go, oh, you know, I've got to, like, do something now. He's asking for help. No, please. What I'm asking for, more than anything, is for you to tell me if the Holy Spirit is leading you in agreement with this plan. Even if I don't get a single, you know, dollar or pound or whatever, absolutely fine, absolutely fine. What I really want, more than anything, is to know that it's the right thing to do. You know, everything else I know will follow after that. You know, my desire in reality, brethren, is to not be a burden on the body at all. I want to actually help the body. You know, I don't want to be a burden to it. So, you know, I just leave it there kind of thing. But I really did need to say something and explain some of the circumstances, because, again, some of you don't really know. You know, please do get a map. Check out Cebu and check out Manila. You'll see the distance. You know, it's about a hour and a half flight, something like that. It's quite a flight, an hour or so, something like that. It's not very practical, the current situation. It was never meant to be like that, and you know, we need to change it nonetheless. We can now change it. You know, between now and say a year or so's time, we can make those changes. It seems like the right thing to do. It seems like the sensible thing to do. So I'm hoping that you will approve, but if you don't, I need to know so that I can make appropriate adjustments. So, and pray about it again, and then perhaps, you know, put something out here saying, you know, everybody was saying it's not a good idea and so on. How about this? And maybe that would be the right thing to do. So I wanted to put it out here, get your feedback and understand whether it's right, get your counsel and understand, you know, whether it's the will of the Lord or not. And if it is, amen, wonderful, great, you know. But if it isn't, I really need to know. So anyway, talking quite a bit. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate your time watching this. I do appreciate your support. Thank you very much for that. And please do keep me, my wife, my family, and this ministry in your prayers. I really appreciate that. And I really do appreciate the help that does come my way. Thank you for those of you that do that. And, you know, means a lot to me. I'm really grateful. So thank you very much. God bless and Godspeed. Thank you.